I am sounding the alarm now. I am sounding the alarm now. We have about 2 years, give or take, for the next presidential election, but I'm giving a heads up now. We are at risk of Donald Trump winning the election. If Donald Trump wins that next election, you're talking about an assault on Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security. You're talking about an assault on the environment, or further assault on the environment. You're also talking about additional Supreme Court picks. And most likely, if Trump wins, he's also probably going to take the House, and of course, he's going to keep the Senate. You're talking about a full front of republicanism across the board. I'm sounding the alarm now. The polling is in, and Donald Trump, the guy who we are consistently called an ogre by mainstream media and by lefty media, is running and surging high in this latest polling. Welcome to the Soapbox. My name is Jamarl Thomas. This is the Progressive Soapbox, and I saw the polling on this, and again, I am often shocked when I see polling on Donald Trump, and clearly my perspective of Trump is not the perspective of, you can say, the wider public. But that being said, when you look at polling, the perspective of the wider public on all sorts of politicians, often it's not based on policy, it's just based on their perceptions of those politicians. But it is politics after all, and the goal of politics is to shape a narrative and an opinion around yourself. And Trump seems to have done a pretty good job of it this month, because based on the polling, he is surging to his highest point of his presidency. And again, this is 3 years of these guys calling Trump a plant, calling Trump a Putin puppet, saying that Donald Trump is taking information from Putin himself, that Donald Trump is somehow going to be impeached. I mean, across the board, full frontal assault from a media and political space that hates his guts and yet riding high in the polls. I'm sounding the alarm now. And by the way, not just riding high in the polls, even in the matchups. Meaning when you do head-to-head matchups. Now, the majority of the time, in every other poll that I've looked at, that I've gone through, Biden and Sanders, usually there's like a 10-point difference between Biden and Sanders and Trump. Usually they're trouncing Trump. In this poll, they're showing Sanders with a 1-point difference. This poll is an outlier, so keep that in mind. But with the exception of, I'm going to say Biden and Sanders, if I'm including the other polls, they're only like 1 or no difference. And again, this is after a full frontal media assault on Trump. And this is Trump not running for re-election up to this point. He's just started. And they've been going after this guy for 3 years. And he has been able to remain even. There is a power in the presidency just in being the president in and of itself. There's a certain degree of power associated with it. People see you all the time. They get familiar and get used to you. And Trump does have a base of support. When Trump does those hate rallies, he gets thousands of people to come out to those rallies. Can Elizabeth Warren do that? Can Kamala Harris do that? Can Buttigieg do that? No. Sanders do it. Yes. Let's look at the results. So, let's make sure you can see it. Trump's approval rating has surged to the highest level of his presidency, according to the new Washington Post ABC poll. The survey, which was released on Sunday, found that 47% of registered voters approve of Donald Trump's job performance, a figure that's a 5-point jump from April. 50% of registered voters disapprove. Now, that's the wild part. The majority of people completely disapprove of Trump and his performance. But from the standpoint of people that approve, that number has jumped to 47%. That's amazing. Meanwhile, 44% of voting age Americans said they approve of Trump's job performance, while 53% say they disapprove. 39% said this in April. That's a massive jump. So think of what I'm saying. In April, 39% of voting age Americans said they voted of Trump's job performance. Now, in July, 44% of voting age Americans said they approve of Trump's job performance. That's a big jump. All right, so let's just keep going. The economy served as the only issue where the majority said that they approve of Trump's job performance, according to the poll. 51% of respondents said they approve of the way he handled economic issues. He approved of economic issues since entering the White House. 42% said they disapprove of his handling of the economy. Meanwhile, the majority of respondents say they disapprove of how Trump has handled immigration, health care issues of special concern to women, abortion, climate change, gun violence, and foreign policy. 49% say that they disapprove of the way he's handled taxes, while 42% say they approve. I always find those numbers astonishing. Honestly, I do. In addition, 65% of respondents said Trump has acted in an unpresidential way since taking office. 28% said he has acted in a fitting presidential way. They may disapprove of Donald Trump on like the entire host of issues, but from a standpoint of job performance, they look at him and say, 47% apparently say good job. It's astonishing. I find that astonishing. But my point is very basic. Be aware. He is not going to be this thing that you could just hit over. He is going to be a real challenge to beat. And depending upon the person that they put up against him, just be aware. I'm sounding the warning now. Donald Trump was worried about Joe Biden, and I would argue that if he's worried about Joe Biden, he should be worried about Bernie Sanders, because the Joe Biden vote inevitably is the Bernie Sanders vote. That it matches up well against the demographics that Trump needs to win, which is why he was concerned about Biden. But my argument is he should also be concerned about Sanders in this case. Look, my point in this video is basic, and I'm not going to, belabor the point. Trump can win. He did it once. He can do it again. The first time he won, he barely won. That is true. But the second time, my point is simple. Trump can win. Don't get into your head that he's going to be a pushover. He is not. And his polling and everything else is looking strong. Now, the question becomes, does this continue? Now, if there is some kind of economic crash, which could happen, Donald Trump looks at the economy and he just says, Wall Street is doing great, so the economy is doing great. Let's keep it moving. Wall Street is not the economy. And the fact of the matter is, you have half of the country barely making ends meet, or in situations where they don't necessarily feel comfortable. That is not indicative of a decent economy. Just because you have the economy running high, or the stock market running high, you have people who are working 2 or 3 jobs just to make ends meet. That is not a decent or economy fitting of a country with let me say it this way. I'm saying this poorly, but that's not a decent economy. Those are not indicators of an economy that is decent. You ask the point, what's the economy? It's the point of it in the first place. Do you really want people working 50 hours a week? And is that a decent life? And shouldn't an economy where the stock market is running high and where it's the most wealthiest country on the planet, shouldn't it also have a situation where people are comfortable in their situation, in their own context? Trump can win. Trump can win. Trump can win. Trump can win. That should scare the hell out of you. Trump can win. I'll leave it here. I don't want this video to go long. I just wanted to point this out. And by the way, President Trump slaps tariffs on solar panels at a major blow to renewable energy. From the standpoint of, let's say, foreign suppliers of solar panels, it's like, oh my God, stocks fell. If you were investing in solar panels from outside the country, those stocks fell. If you were investing in solar panels inside this country, your stocks went up. Stocks went up. America first. People are seeing this America first stuff. They see him attack China. They see him attack Mexico. They see him attack European partners. They see him doing all this stuff, screaming America first. They may not understand the politics of it. They may not even understand if all of it affects them individually. But they do see a president who is screaming America first at the height of his lungs. Trump can win. These things may be onerous when you look at the details. But from the optics, which is going to be the thing that Donald Trump runs into the ground when he's running in 2020, it matters. Trump can win. That should haunt your nightmares. Bernie or bust. Bernie or bust. I'll leave it here. Thanks all.